When you hear the word Missouri, do you think of somewhere like this?
That's sweet.
Is that baby dog's plate right there?
Yeah.
If you've only ever driven the 250 miles of Interstate 70 across Missouri, this is probably about the last thing you would expect. But if you take the time to get out of the Ozarks of Arkansas and go across the state line into Missouri to explore the tracks and trail around the Ozark National Scenic Riverway, this is exactly what you should expect. What we hadn't expected the first night next to the river was all of that rain. Those overnight storms left plenty of evidence of their passing, but by breakfast, they were long gone, and they left behind only extensive puddles and vast stretches of mist. This is the current river. It's around 184 miles long, and in 1964 it was designated the first National Scenic Riverway in the United States. Have you ever noticed that people lollygag just a little more when you're trying to put away things wet? And this morning, there was another reason for doing so.
So yeah, what we're noticing is this line right here. This is what was weighing against the ground last night where the water came through, and now everything where the water came through and hit has this line of yellowish spooge on it, including our traction boards.
But eventually we overcame our aversion to that heavy pollen, packed everything up, and started back out on the tracks and trails of the Ozarks of Missouri.
Good morning. It is now Friday morning. Yesterday we finished off day 5 of the Ozark Overland Adventure Trail, and then we headed north to Eminence in Missouri. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that close to correct. We found an awesome campsite down by the river. Thanks to our friend Tim from Jeepin' and Exploring. He sent us some tracks and some pins and waypoints of things we can go explore in this area. He was hoping to be able to join us today, but things happen. Sometimes it doesn't work out the way you hope, so we're going to go explore on our own today and see what we can find in the area. Thanks so much for Tim and Jenna to sending us that information, because there's probably so much here that we wouldn't even know where to start if we didn't have somebody telling us, hey, why don't you try this first? So today we're going to go out and drive around on some scenic trails, see if we can find some ruins, falls, technical sections, rivers, mountains, whatever it is that we can find here. And I hope you'll come along.
The first thing we found that morning was thick, slick mud that was left behind from last night's rain. Bill was on camera this morning, and he was struggling just a little bit to navigate it in his sandals. And what was my opinion on that? It was this.
Too early in the morning to follow the mud.
Thankfully, although that Jeep slipped around just a little bit, Bill remained completely upright.
There was a couple times it downright rained last night. I know the tent makes it sound worse, but I think it rained.
I think it really downpoured.
There's enough aggregate in here. I don't guess it's going to be muddy. I was even wondering if we're going to have to raise hell to get up out of there, but it's pretty gravelly.
It did just fine. So we had a lot of rain last night for all this to get washed down onto the highway.
And it was clear from the evidence left behind in other places that this was definitely not the first heavy rain of the season. Brush is free. Stuff some in your car.
I have no idea what that's about.
Nobody warned us that when you drive in the Ozarks of Missouri, you've got to watch out for kamikaze squirrels. But thankfully, this guy ran away unscathed.
Lost in the day, floating further away from the echoes that weigh me down. Familiar faces filled with dismay, 'cause the sun rises and it won't. I know your time will come, and there's no use in going alone. Keep your eyes on the horizon, and together we will run. Gone are the days where the colors that fade and the rain stay for far too long. Like trees in the garden, the whole falls without pardon, 'cause we got everything we want. I know your time will come, and there's no use in going alone. Keep your eyes on the horizon, and together we will run.
There was so much water on the trail that morning that we stopped several times to consult the map to make sure we were in the right place. But the truth of the matter was, this is exactly the trail, just with a lot of water on it, because the river is actually over to the right.
Time will come, and there's no use in going alone. Keep your eyes on the horizon, and together we will run.
The Ozark National Riverway includes a hodgepodge of over 80,000 acres. It's spread out in various blocks and chunks along the Current River and Jack's Fork. The area is well known for its paddling, horseback riding, and hiking. And if you hadn't noticed, it has some pretty scenic driving trails too, if you know where to look. find a sign like this when exploring, that's exactly when you stop and you check it out. But in this case, this is all we found before heading onward. Our next task that day? To find the perfect place to stop for lunch. Well, this wasn't quite what we were looking for, but it was pretty darn cool. The locals must not have very many people stop right here, because they kept a pretty darn close eye on us. After lunch, we started driving down a track called Acres Alley on Onyx that led to the Alley Mill. The trail is a little less than 4.5 miles one way and is rated by Onyx at a level 4, but I'd say it was more like a level 3. There was nothing seriously technical here. The most concerning thing we saw about this trail was the evidence of how high the water had been. Things like this cloth hanging from a high tree. And soon, we started seeing that water from the river encroach right out onto the road. But not to any extent that would cause us concern. Not yet, anyway. We stopped for a moment because, well, the road is not supposed to go into the river here, but the road does go into the river here. And Bill is actually walking it in his sandals to make sure it's not too deep for the deep. Makes me a little nervous, makes him a little nervous. So he's walking ahead to test it out to see whether or not we're turning around, or whether this is only a couple feet deep, and as long as we stay over here on the side where the road is, that we should be okay. So far it looks pretty decent, and if I remember correctly from me reconnoitering above it, it looks like it's going to kind of go up from there and then out of the water eventually, though I couldn't see the other side because there's a cliff in the way. That's pretty cool. Just a little rock shelter in here. And a bird's nest sitting right there. What's ironic about this place is we would never have seen it, except for the fact that we had to stop because the road is underwater.
Well, this is the trail. I don't know if it's a good idea going upstream. There's a lot of current. We're by ourselves. Have a look at this. And as I walk upstream, it gets really hard to walk, so it'd be a lot to push for the Gladiator. And I don't want us to get pushed out that way. That would not be good. I'm into fun, but sometimes you just gotta use some sense, I think. Well, you might be surprised by my answer, but I don't think it's a good idea. I want to do it really bad, but
I know, I saw how deep it was getting, and I don't know if we can keep the momentum we need and get around through there, and I don't know where the exit is.
that current was pushing hard on me, making it hard for me to walk forward and think how much this is going to be pushing.
Yeah. So
Can't tell if I got
basically,
it.
Bill's got, there you go, that's how deep it is on Bill.
That was me staying to the bank side.
Got it.
And if you go that way, it got deeper.
It goes
and you would
deeper.
lean.
Correct.
I mean, it literally, there's enough current around that corner, it could pick up the front and turn you. And then you're
turn us
toast.
into the, yeah, I don't want to do that.
I would love to say, look what I did, but it ain't worth it.
Okay.
The problem is, I got around the corner, I still can't see the end of it. It
I
just
couldn't
keeps going and going.
Correct. I couldn't see the end of it either.
I'm
I
not-
could see was the cliff face, so
I'm not so sure the bikes didn't turn around right here.
I think they may have. Well, we're going to turn around too then.
Until another day, my friend. We'll be back. You don't see this deep back up very often. I can't imagine we'd lose everything. Our house on wheels. Nope, not doing it.
And so we backed up, turned around, and drove the 4 miles back into Eminence, where we found a quick and easy asphalt tourist route to our destination of Alley Spring and Alley Mill. Our home in Ohio has plenty of springs, even one on our own property. But a spring like this, it sends out over 80 million gallons of water every day. Now that is extraordinary. And the mill from the 1800s, that's just an added bonus.
Yeah, it does make you wonder where all that water's coming from. Is it from a sinking creek? What's it from?
It has to be.
That's a lot of water.
From Alley Mill, we set our sights to the northwest, to an area of dispersed camping along the Current River in an area known as White Oak Hollow. And wouldn't you know, there just happened to be a fire tower on that route. The original 50-foot Flatrock fire tower was built in 1943. The current steel tower was erected in the late 1950s or early 1960s to replace a temporary wooden structure. So what happened to that original steel tower? Who knows? Maybe it was just shoddy record keeping that said the original one was steel, when in fact it had been a temporary wooden tower for years.
I am at the top of the Flatrock fire tower. You can't go all the way up. If you look above me, there's a lock right here. But you can climb all the way up here and get kind of a bird's eye view of the world around you and look for fires. Or whatever else you feel like looking for up here. So today we took a couple of interesting trails. One along a creek up through the woods that was a little bit of a challenge and a lot of water crossings. One that was going to take us into Alley Mill, but the river stopped us. It's up several feet higher than normal. And after testing it out, we just decided it was a bad idea to try it. So we diverted around on regular roads, which took us like 10 minutes. Probably going to take us an hour and a half to drive the trail, 10 minutes around. So I took the asphalt all the way over to Alley Mill, saw Alley Mill. Just happened to be driving by this place on the way to what looks like a good campsite for the night. And then we'll have to see what tomorrow brings. This is a great place to explore. There's so much here. We're not going to even scratch the surface in 2 days, day and a half, really, that we're here. Let's go back out there. That way you can get the full experience of almost falling down the stairs the entire time. This one actually feels a lot less safe than many of the ones I've climbed because most of them cage you in a little better. This one, fall you fall, it's your own choice, it's your own mistake, your own judgment, good, bad, otherwise. Many people would say, is it really good judgment to climb a fire tower in the first place? And to that I would say, of course it is. How else are you going to get these beautiful views out here? So there are some overlooks, and so you don't really have to climb it, but just one more experience to add to the list of things worth doing at least once. And for some reason I'm crazy enough to keep doing it over and over, hopefully without falling down while I'm talking to you on the camera. This is my dog, Rue. Rue is smarter than me because Rue only goes up one flight of stairs. That is her comfort zone. She says, "Why are you an idiot? Why do you go up all of those flights of stairs when you can go up one and have a new view right there?" Is that right, Rue?
The hint of rain mirrored in those clouds all day hadn't materialized, but that was about to change. And that was seriously problematic because we had to cross this river to get to our campsite.
All right, we found another questionable water crossing. Let's take a look and see if we should do this one or not. It's moving so darn strong, I just don't think it's worth the risk.
Okay.
I would love to do it again, but
I know. We don't do it then.
felt like it got deeper when I walked back the second time. I don't know if it's raining upstream or what.
Oh, then maybe it's a good thing we're not doing it.
According to the maps, the next crossing of this aptly named Big Creek was about 1.5 miles away. And surely there'd be a bridge there, right? But there wasn't, and we couldn't cross there either. And so we aimed for the next spot. It was 14 miles away. And when we got there, this is what we found.
Looks a lot more tame than the other two.
Well, the peak got stuck, so I
Yeah,
mean,
he was in a pickup and it was even with the bottom of his window.
When Mark and his wife told us a neighbor had to get pulled out in his truck today because the water was up to its windows, we decided that the nearest bridge 30 miles away looked pretty darn good. The workaround for Big Creek added 2 hours and 60 miles to our drive. And so we decided to treat ourselves to a night without cooking at a local campground. And I'm not sure I've ever eaten food this good at a campground before. So tell me, where did you cook this?
On the camp stove.
How has he managed to cook everything on the camp stove? I may not know how Bill manages to cook everything on the camp stove, but I do know this. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. All those help our algorithms, all of that. Those things help us to get this out to more viewers, more people, hopefully with like minds who want to get out and try this, or can't get out and do this and just want to tag along in their armchair, which we're happy to have you there too. Until we see you again, go out and find your own adventure. Thanks for joining us. And here's just a glimpse of what that adventure next week might look like.
Alexis went there.
So come on back for next week's adventure. But until then, thanks so much for watching. Now go out and find your own adventure.